That's what we do. Hold on to the broken pieces, even when they prick and slice our fingers. So heavy, they drag us down into inescapable pits. We hold on, knowing and tending each sliver, each cracked, fractured fragment of a limb, each crumbled corner of consciousness that never got nurtured or held in arms that felt like sunshine. We hold on, defying the ache of deprived dreams, turned nightmare day after day. We hold on to each damaged part that no one else sees or knows exists, knowing they must somehow be salvaged for us to one day be whole. Tunneling through, around, over, and even under.
The minute he asks, is that something new? We say, what?
Hello, welcome to Sojourn with Words. I'm your host, Sistah Joy, and we are here at CTV Studios in Largo, Maryland, with one of the metropolitan area's premier poetry forces. I'm speaking none other than Charity Blackwell. Now, Charity, many in the community know her because she's such a fixture and has done so much work through DC Scores in particular. Let's see, now she's a spoken word artist, she's a host, she's an MC, and she spent several years contributing to poetry and the arts in general through DC Scores. Charity, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm super honored to be here. This is amazing.
Well, thank you. Well, we know that you're going to enliven things today, both through the interview, but also through the poetry, and we're really looking forward to the poetry.
That's something up my sleeve for y'all.
Okay,
Definitely.
okay. Well, let's see. Let's let our guests know a little bit about you. For viewers who are new to Charity, she is a Trinity University graduate where she received her BA and MA in communications. And on the flip side, she played soccer for 4 years. How about that? So now, since her early days, Charity's natural stage presence and charm have led her to hosting opportunities. She's a very engaging personality, and you'll see what I mean throughout this interview. She's hosted poetry slams for DC Scores, 2013 through 2016. And the America Scores, New York National Poetry Slam, Busboys and Poets Open Mic 2016, still continuing, and the Our Words, Our City Poetry Showcase in 2017, Women's March Open Mic, the list goes on. So welcome. We know that you have as much activism in your poetry as you do the natural athleticism that you bring wherever you go. So I'm going to sit back and let you tell us a bit about what's on the horizon for Charity Blackwell.
So, what's on the horizon? I just want to continue using my spoken word and my poetry to not only influence the youth, but also to advocate for things that I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about the youth. I'm passionate about women's rights. I'm passionate about Black Lives Matter. I'm passionate about things that I feel that my poetry is utilized as a force and a tool to bring light to a lot of these issues. And I want to continue to use my platform to do so. I'm not sure where my poetry will continue to take me. It's taken me to a lot of different places. I've traveled across the world because of my poetry. I've been on different stages. I've met a lot of different people. I just met Angela Davis.
Oh, how exciting!
Two months ago, and it's all through being very passionate about this art form, and that's all that's what I think is on the horizon. I don't have any set plans. I want to continue writing. I know that I want to definitely come out with a book, and have a collection of my poems, but that's really my biggest goal, is just to continue doing what I'm doing. And the thing that brings me the most joy is the impact that my poetry has on individuals, and that's all that I want to continue to do.
Okay, now you talk about passion. What about preparation? What brought you to poetry?
So I've been writing since I can remember.
Okay.
When I was a kid, it was just fun and games. Like I was just writing raps and stuff, and just joning on people, just fun and games. Then when I got to high school, I actually took a course on poetry, and that was when I actually found that I'm actually, not only do I like this, I think I'm
Pretty good
actually
at it.
good at this. And so I kept writing, but never really performed it. I just kept writing, and then when I got to college and came to DC, that's when I was introduced to spoken word. We didn't have open mics. We didn't have any place really in South Carolina for people to get on stage and perform their works. And so,
What part of South Carolina?
Rock Hill, South Carolina.
Rock Hill, South
Little,
Carolina.
small,
Okay,
little-
shout out to Rock Hill,
Shout
South
out to 803. What's up? But but yeah, when I moved up here, that's when I actually got introduced to the spoken word scene. That's when it was really popping, like the Pages and the Amin Drew Laws, the Clint Smiths. They were all performing and doing their team, their group poems, and I was really introduced to a very vibrant time in the poetry community, of the spoken word scene, and I fell in love with it. And at my school, I started poetry events. One of the longest running events, shout out to Trinity University, Speaking It Real, is still running to this day. It's probably one of the hottest events on the campus, but it's a spoken word event that was started by me and one of my English teachers. And after that, I just started. That's when I got introduced to DC Scores, and they had an event at my school, and I was like, well, what is this? And at the time I was playing soccer, and they're like, oh, this is soccer and poetry program.
Okay, so it was sports that brought you to college, to DC.
Correct.
From South Carolina.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So soccer, and those are like my two biggest passions. Those things I talk about are soccer and poetry, and soccer has kind of like been my vehicle to get me through life, and poetry's been like my passion that has like been an icing on the cake. And so being at Trinity, doing soccer and poetry, and then being introduced to a program that provides soccer, poetry, and service learning for after-school programs in 60 different schools in DC. It's like, what is this? This is a dream come true. And then ever since I joined forces with them, it's been a great partnership.
Okay. So
Yeah.
let's see now, you've performed on international networks such as BBC News,
Yes.
DC United Audi Field for the game opener, the Women's Sports Foundation, the Lincoln Theater, the Kennedy Center, the Hirshhorn Museum. I mean, it just goes on.
Yes.
So you have already accumulated quite a list of credits to your name. Where do you think the poetry comes from for you? I know you say you've been writing since you were a child, but what is there a genesis? Was there somebody who influenced you, even a teacher, but possibly a spoken word artist or somebody that you heard that you said, I think I'm going to go in that direction?
Oh, wow. Goodness. I mean, when we're thinking about just the writing form, I would have to say, and this sounds so cliche, but the poet that caught my attention, that really inspired me to write, was Edgar Allan Poe. When I read The Raven for the first time, and
You're not the first poet to say that on this show.
I'm telling you, that poem, the
Yes.
cadence,
Yes.
it's a masterpiece. And
Absolutely.
I don't know how many times I've read that poem, but that honestly, I think was the most powerful piece of work that I've read. But if we're talking about performers, the list goes on of people that I can think of that I've seen perform.
Well, let's
Yeah.
change it up.
All right.
When you think about challenges that poets have today, what do you think are some of the greatest challenges? Because as much as poetry is flourishing today, there clearly are challenges, especially when one looks at the political climate of the nation.
True, absolutely. So some challenges I can think of off the top. Well, for me personally, poetry, and I'm pretty sure you know, is a male-dominated field. So that in itself, trying to find spaces where women can feel empowered to do their work. I think that in DC it's not such an issue. Like we have events like there's at DC at Busboys and Poets called All Amplifying Women Everywhere. We have a very safe space here in DC for women, but that's one of the challenges that I see. But also poetry. I'm just very fortunate to be in a position where I am in a job that pays for me to and supports my work. But being an artist, a lot of poets, just like any starving artist, it's not easy to support your passion in this world, and I think that's one of the bigger challenges. But when you're talking about I want to know what you mean when you're saying political. Like,
well, I mean, there are some that would say poetry and politics should never meet. And so that just doesn't make sense to me, but that view prevails in some communities. But then as an activist, we look at poetry as a tool that fits to me like a glove. But the challenge of keeping the politics not the primary focus,
right,
but the message has to be premier. So when you talk about the challenge of having poetry and politics, how does that balance out for you?
Poetry and politics? Well, I've ran into issues where some of my poems, I have a lot of political poems. I have a lot of poems that may make some people feel uncomfortable. And I've been told sometimes that I don't want to hear that poem, or if I've been told, hey, can we see your work before we have you come perform? And they're like, oh, well, this doesn't really go with the theme of what we're trying to do. So I've definitely myself ran into some barriers because of how political I am in some of my pieces, and I think that is a challenge because when you are an artist, your work reflects who you are, and so when
as it should. Yes.
So then when you're faced with those barriers, it's either like, okay, do I change my work to satisfy this person?
This is an issue that all poets must face.
Yes,
you must either, you're going to chase the contract, or you're going to represent the issue.
Exactly.
And poetry and politics. There's nothing that is not political, really. There's no subject that is not political because what we may consider to be the norm, the status quo, somebody else, whether they're ultra-conservative or ultra-radical, is going to take exception. So politics are a part of it. Let's change up again. Let's talk about building the poetry scene in Prince George's County. Now, you're in Washington, D.C., am I correct? Okay. But we know that your poetry has been embraced by many of us in Prince George's County. So
I appreciate you.
As the newly appointed Poet Laureate of Prince George's County, I'm always looking for voices to resonate the voice of the people.
Absolutely.
Because my views are fine and good from me, but we have to have voices that echo the sentiments of all communities, all generations, all cultures, all lifestyles. We want everyone to understand that poetry gives power to the person who lifts that voice and lifts it well. Because you can be out there making noise.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of folks doing
There's a lot of people doing that.
But when you truly do have a message and you have honed your craft, what does it feel like to you when you know you've got it right?
Oh, man, it's an exhilarating feeling. It's like being in a space where because, as a poet, like you write stuff and you're like, like you said, I know I feel it, but are the people going to feel it? And then once you get to that point where you understand, you can walk in a space, you can read a crowd, you can walk into a space and you can feel at home, and you know that what your message is about to be is gonna hit and is gonna resonate with that space that you're in. And then once you able to perform it and you feel the feedback, you feel the snaps, you feel the praise, and you feel the love afterwards, it's not just exhilarating for you, but you know that you've touched somebody. So that's the thing that gives me the most joy. It's not I mean, I get a high off of just being on stage, period. Like, I love that. But I get the most joy off of knowing that there's somebody out there that needed that message, or really felt that message, or maybe even was educated on something that they didn't know before. And that's like the most exhilarating feeling about honing in my craft.
So are you at that place in your career as a poet that you find yourself bringing others to poetry? Is that something you aspire to do, or you're not really comfortable with that?
No, I am definitely doing that, and that I do that a lot through my job with DC Scores. We only go through elementary through middle school, so once you're done, you basically graduate out. So that's what our Words Our City is. It's a program where kids that graduate out our program, even kids that are not part of our program, can come in and continue to work through their skills and try to become better poets, better artists. And even when I do my open mics at Busboys and Poets, I try to bring in folks that and encourage people to get on stage that probably wouldn't if they weren't given that extra push. But I know that I do have people come up to me and tell me, especially when I do workshops, that they feel more inspired to write and they want to perform their work.
Okay, so we're going to hear some poetry by Charity Blackwell. I wanted to ask, do you do workshopping?
I do workshops.
Okay, workshopping, all right.
I do workshops.
So we want to make sure that everyone understands that even if you're not already there, if you want to learn about poetry, want to connect with poetry, Charity Blackwell is definitely who you want to be
you got
in touch with.
Got you.
So,
got you.
How about we get ready to hear some poetry
All right.
by none other than Charity Blackwell of DC Scores, our partner, our neighbor, and one who is doing great things for youth and all persons who have an interest in poetry. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Sister Joy.
I'm looking forward to hearing more of your work.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Keep your hands on the plow. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your hands on the plow. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your hands on the plow. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold on, because our ancestors used to sing with hope and anticipation. They bellowed songs in the cotton field, encrypted with codes for liberation in another language. See, these songs spoke in tongues, and they sung with every breath in their lungs, messages about rebellions and escapes to the setting sun. See, plantation owners and overseers would never believe this to be true. Black slaves using spirituals as means to construe messages about escapes. Just the thought was taboo, but they sung their way to the promised land with hope for me. And you ain't gonna let nobody turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching towards my freedom land, freedom land, freedom land, freedom land. Marching because our ancestors marched with dedication and anticipation that equality would sweep the nation. They would march through Jim Crow's trials and tribulations. They made the KKK squirm with discomfort and agitation through all the beatings, lynchings, killing and aggravation. Black souls saying they marched in peaceful retaliation. Black souls gathered as one without pause or hesitation, even knowing that death was a possible limitation. Now who will sing for us when our community needs it the most? It seems as though all the freedom choir has all become ghosts. Now who will sing for us when all of our singers sing for lust or money or gold chains and the mighty dollar they do trust? Now who will sing for us when our brothers and sisters are dying? Our ancestors pushed so we could go forth. Now our community is reclining because we don't even sing no more. We like to do the dances, the jujus, the whips and the nays. Well, next time you whip, think about the whips that whipped our ancestors till daybreak, and they still sing. We don't even sing no more. We like to dab on them strong, drop on them, flex on them, make a dance for every song, but the songs our ancestors sang had no steps or choreography. Only steps that were planned with steps linked to astronomy, like take steps in the directions of the shining no stars. There's no maps of your freedom, only sun shining from a star. No GPS, no Google Maps, only guidance from the underground railroad track. Right foot in front of left, no convenience of a car, because we didn't even sing no more. The songs of our ancestors had no steps or choreography, only steps that were planned with the regions of racial inequality and his blasphemy. How we can actually stand here and so passively allow our temples, our instruments, be overshadowed by the trash we sing. 200 years ago, we had choirs in the field, singing while tending to the cotton yield. 60 years ago, we had choirs in the streets, marching while singing with tear gas at their feet. Now it's 2019, and I'm still trying to find the right notes, but everywhere I look, it seems as though I'm singing with ghosts, so I may be asking the most. But please help me do one thing. Stand, march, and sing for the coming free. Sing for you and me. Coming up in this world, I did not know that I would grow to be a fuse between the crafts of soccer and poetry, but I noticed the two combined have made what you know to be yours truly, Charity Blackwell, crafted from soccer and poetry. Soccer. See, soccer, growing up, I ain't really looked like much, too manly, missing the grace of the feminine touch. Tomboy with the chipped tooth from being too rough, left out of sleepovers, I wasn't girly enough, but soccer, outside of family, I grew conscious of teen, not necessarily blood related, but we got the same dreams. Blood, sweat, and tears, win by any means, poetry. In high school, I put the pen to the page, emotions engaged, happy or rage. I did it for the grade, but then in college, shoot, I took it to the stage, and judging from the feedback, I guess my rhymes are okay, ole! Soccer in college, every moment on the field, adrenaline rush, ball and touch, every moment was a thrill. Winning enough? Games was luck, but we always showed them still learn that win or lose, you never pick or choose the option of giving up, moving up to the next stage from college to profession. I coach soccer, taught poetry to kids with aggression towards society that even I could see tells them they are less than worthy or deserving, and other kids dealt the best hand. Soccer was an outlet, poetry was a crowd. And they said, Coach B, I got something to say. I said, you better put it in your lines because I learned through your every action. You should share your very passion because facts, the impact on those you touch is everlasting. Everything happens for a reason. Every outcome has a cause. For a period of time, I had to resign and put my passions on pause on July 23rd, 2015. My mother's body lay cold, dead at the scene. On September 21st, 2017, my father's body lay cold, dead at the scene. We knew they were sick, but the doctor said they'd be fine in due time, my child. Patience is the golden key, but God called his angels home. This lonely feeling I never felt. The agony of sleepless nights, these cards I was never dealt. My conscience and my sanity, they was duking it out, round for round, pound for pound, but never clear knockout. You should have paid more attention in CPR class. Why didn't you drive to the hospital fast when I tried to breathe life into her? She kept moving my hands like, why wasn't I strong enough to pin her body to the land? You see, these questions kept me guessing. I kept searching for my lesson, but this quest led to stress that made me feel more than less than the people around me dealt the best hands. Why me? Why now? I felt the creep of depression. I had to dig in my roots to that girl with the chipped tooth. When the world told her no, she still shot for the goal. I had to dig past my soul, past that crust that was cold to that warm core of poetry that grew to make me whole. I had to fight for my life. I had to write to see the lights at the end of the tunnel that seemed to be nothing but endless nights. I had to gather up my team, friends and family in a huddle, writing plays, finding ways to navigate through the struggle. So I write because it's therapy. My pen is always there for me, and I fight because my team is strong. They help me move my weight along or carry some for me, for there is no I in team writing fights. I see the lights, my love, soccer, and poetry. In 10 years from now, I don't know where I will be, but wherever I go, I know that I will have soccer with me, the sport that shatters barriers and embraces diversity, the sport that is very much like my city, DCC. We live in times where backgrounds, beliefs, politics can be divisive, where news can confuse and make communities feel indecisive. But DC, like soccer, is a space where we're all united to get excited, where collaboration is demanded and invited. A city that passes and moves to make space for the ball. A city that will stand tall to protest a bad call. A city of 3-a-days, early mornings and late practices. A city of movers and shakers, debaters, floppers and actresses. A city of teamwork makes a dreamer from traffic to footwork. A city of network from Anacostia to Petworth. A city of cultures merged together with one goal to win. A city where loss feels like a cheap shot to the shin. A city that is the nation's capital, but is international. City of the level-headed, radical, irrational, from corner kicks to slide tackles, where movements are magical. A city of history, mistakes, growth, and pain. A city of misery, laughs, joy, and gain. A city of mystery and layers. A city of coaches and players. A city that's a glaring reflection of me. A city that's a glaring reflection of we. 10 years ago, I did not know where I will be, but right now, I'm in a city that embraces diversity because we live in times where backgrounds, beliefs, and politics can be divisive. But DC, like soccer, is a space where we all can feel united. And let's go, DC, united.
Well, thank you again for all of our viewers who tuned in to Sojourn with Words. We are thrilled that we had a phenomenal guest poet today, Charity Blackwell. And for those interested, you can find her on all social media at Charity Joyce Blackwell. Be in touch with her, let her know what you're doing, and see what she might be able to do for you. But for Sojourn with Words, we're looking forward to having you join us again. We're always here on CTV, and we're hoping to hear from poets across Prince George's County. Let us know. As the newly installed Poet Laureate for Prince George's County, I'm looking for poets, not just for Sojourn with Words, but for the community voice that we need to lift. That closes us out here on CTV. I'm your host. Be in touch. Let me know what you're writing.
My heart aches, breaks when I see elder sisters, queens, just a few years beyond me, at bus stops with bags about their feet, searching, rummaging, just keeping busy, neither noticing nor caring who looks their way. This is just another day that will too soon fade, become another yesterday, joining the decades of memories, homes, cars, husband, job, friends, child. Outside eyes think the last thing to ever be considered is pride. But look closer, look inside, see past the eyes that no longer see, past the pain and loss. There's something else, a will to hold on. Even now, able to hold it together, each plastic bag, each neatly folded thing is hers alone. In this cold, callous world, they belong to her. Letting go would be easy. So despite it all, despite what seems to some as madness, she holds on. Because outside eyes can't see birthdays, graduations, tender hugs and kisses, kept wedding vows that still shine bright. Replay in her mind memories of teaching children to read, share, stand tall, say thank you, and yes, ma'am. Outside eyes don't know the pain or power, that sacred memory of wiping a child's last tear, or futile attempts to teach the lesson of watching for cars when crossing streets, Outside eyes can't see lessons to young men taught to treat a lady right. Remembering the best one who never lost the lesson for 40 years before funeral tears taught that even deepest love brings pain, that funeral flowers always smell sweet,